creativity levels low. Or maybe I just feel low and that's an excuse for me not to create. I feel selfish at times. I get tangled in my issues and forget that outside a whole nation is dying. It seems I got a lot to say when I talk to myself. I guess confession is harder when someone trying to help. Getting lessons from Deacon spiritual therapy treatment. You way too hard on yourself. He told me he could see it. Realize boxing these feelings is showing signs of weakness. Them thoughts will try to maintain space, show no obedience. The carnal man throw tantrums when I go file a grievance. The dialogue in my mind, man, you wouldn't believe it. I die daily, but sometimes the old man be reviving. Maybe the lust and temptations was causing marriage problems. You neglect your possession instead of showing love. And then just tell her I've been trying to get my scriptures up. That ain't my struggle, but then I wonder what if it was. I put these things in my music to show that it occurs. This that newfound gospel, not that prosper from tithing. Men with issues, women who need a guy who can solve them. Pray you perform when it's just you and you hear silence knocking. It's hard to be in discipline when your peers isn't watching. This for Judah and Ephraim, man, this is 12 inclusive. This is for when I feel down in these spiritual music. They screaming, oh, don't preach to them. But who gon' lead the revolution? Kids is dying, sighing, ain't good enough, I'm obligated. You too stuck in your ways to bring participation. Tell me this isn't heaven. Tell me it's opportunity. Tell me we ain't imputed. And tell me we know unity. Tell me we God's choosing. Tell me we God's chosen. Apologize for the hiccup. But God, this ain't the first time I lost my words when you picked up. God, this is the first time I lost my words when you picked up. Yeah.
Go unless the Father's willing it, and I'm just trying hard not to get purged out in the wilderness for real. I don't want to be seen as unprofitable. No.
As we walk through this fight, day and night, we try to prepare ourselves for the battle that's set before us. Sometimes we fall because of our weakness and the weakness of our flesh, but yet we gotta continue to run.
I'm gonna run. I'm gonna race to it. I'm not done.
Yeah.
No, I'm
got a long
not
way to go.
done. And I won't
we
give
came
up.
so far.
I'm gonna race to it. I'm not done.
This pain getting harder to hide. Only Lord knows all the anger I harbor inside. Sometimes I wanna let the tears just fall from my eyes. Thought I was something and what? Had to swallow my pride. My own family tried to get me to part from my God. They turned their ear from hearing truth cause they caught up in lies. I used to hang with gangbangers that tossed up the five. Now I just kick it with the saints and I talk with the wise. Yet I've been falling, my sins calling to tear me down. Many a renown won't make it to get to wear the crown. I ask the Lord now to forgive me for all my wicked ways. Cleanse me of transgressions before my body lay in the grave. Clean me of my secret sins, establish my thoughts, and wash away iniquities and my presumptuous faults. Give me wisdom from your word when I'm down and distraught, and give me strength to apply what I'm taught. And I'm gonna run. See what I come to learn in this truth?
I'm gonna race.
This race is not to the swift.
I'm not done.
All of us got different battles, different
No,
problems.
I'm not done.
But our line is to fight. The Most High give us all strength to fight at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? As long as He with us, nobody can be against us, you know what I'm saying? Look, plead my cause, oh Lord, with them that strive with me and fight against all those that try to fight against me. Take hold of thy shield and buckler, stand to be my help. Protect me from my enemies and even myself. Let them all be confounded and put to shame. that seek after my soul. Let them turn and be confused for the wicked they sown. For we remember your works and your wonders are old. How you split the Red Sea and turned it into a roll. Lord knows I'm vexed, but I'm changing my mind state. Living in a world that my God gonna annihilate. In a time where little boys wanna be like Beyonce. And drugs got the whole hood high as the crime rate. But I still run like a runaway slave who got fears of being hung. Like an army lieutenant in a war with no gun. Like politicians who already won. Yet this war just begun. So I'm gon' run. In this battle that's set before us,
I'm gon' raise.
we give them weapons that's no longer carnal. The Most High with us in this fight. You know what I'm saying? All we gotta do is have faith.
And I won't give
Walk
up.
in His laws, statutes, and commandments. But therein, that's the battle. Cause all those that endure to the end and don't give up will receive eternal life. Yeah. So no matter what we go through in this fight, we gotta keep running. We gotta run to Him who created us. Sister Diet, sing to Him.
I've been let down. I won't give up. I can fall 7 times and get back up. I've seen mountains move, and it's because of you. That's why
First, peace. Cursed. Cursed in the city.
Shalom, shalom, Israel, most high in Christ bless. Welcome to another edition of History in the AM. Today you got Captain Emmanuel of IUIC, Arkansas. All right, today we going to deal with, well, you know, we dealing with, when I teach the series, The Kings of Israel. All right, and today we are at the point of the split. All right, the split with Rehoboam and Jeroboam. All right, so this is one where you don't want to just listen, you don't want to just play it while you doing what you doing or going to and fro or whatever. You want to take notes on this one. You want to take real good notes, all right? So let's open up with Romans chapter 15 and verse 4.
The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4.
Go ahead.
For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
Now, this scripture right here is real heavy in terms of today because this right here, what we finna go into is the beginning of the great mystery that has Christians confused to this day. You understand the whole origination of the term Jews, you understand, starts here with the split, all right? The Jew and Gentile confusion, the two kingdoms, the grafting, all of that stuff starts here with the split, the history that we're covering today. So like I said, today is the day. If not any other day, today is the day you want to take real good notes, all right? Because this is for your learning. Once you understand the split, then you will understand the New Testament. You will understand Paul's letters way better, all right? It's written for our learning. So now, with the time period that we dealing with. Well, when we cover Rehoboam and Jeroboam, Rehoboam, his reign was from 931 BC to 913 BC. Jeroboam reign was from 931 BC to 910 BC. Now, of course, how did they reigning at the same time during the same year? Because the kingdom split. Yeah, that's what we're going into. All right. So let's open up with Sirach 47 and verse 13. The hottest scripture on history in the AM. Read that.
The book of Sirach, chapter 47 and verse 13. Solomon reigned in peaceable time and was honored, for God made all quiet round about him, that he might build an house in his name and prepare his sanctuary forever.
Now jump down to verse 20.
Verse 20.
Verse 19.
Verse 19. Thou didst bow thy loins unto thou didst bow thy loins unto women.
So that's what we covered last time, right? We dealt with simping Solomon. You understand? Because we did many classes going into his wisdom, his excellence, the houses that he built, the houses he built for the Lord, for himself, so on and so forth. But how did he ruin all of that? Through simping, through bowing his loins unto women, strange women at that. You understand? Read on.
And by the body thou was brought into subjection.
He was brought into subjection to the flesh, to other gods, to idols. Read.
Thou didst stain thy honor and pollute thy seed, so that thou broughtest wrath upon thy children and was grieved for thy folly.
Read.
So the kingdom was divided.
So the what?
The kingdom was divided.
So the division of the kingdom, the reason why the kingdom split, the root of that was Solomon's sin. That was a part of the judgment that the Lord had in place for Solomon's sin. You understand? Read on.
And out of Ephraim ruled a rebellious kingdom.
And out of that split, Ephraim will be the head of the northern tribes that would rebel against the Most High God eventually in time, right? So now let's go to 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 26.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 26.
Go ahead.
And Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zerata, Solomon's servant.
So Jeroboam. Jeroboam means the people become numerous. That's what his name means. The people become numerous. All right. It says that he was the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite, which is around the city of Bethlehem, right? And he was from the tribe of Ephraim. He was a northern kingdom brother. And it says Solomon's servant. Now, so we not confused. Real quick, go to 1 Kings chapter 9 and read verse 22.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 9 and verse 22.
But
of the children of Israel did Solomon make no bondman.
No bondman. A bondman is a slave. You understand? So the children of Israel, the seed of Israel, were not Solomon's bondmen. That's what the other nations were. Right? Read on.
But they were men of war.
So the children of Israel were Solomon's men of war. Go ahead.
And his servants.
And his what?
And his servants.
So there's a difference between servants and bondmen. You understand? Bondmen, you can rule over them with rigor, right? They were the heathen, the other nations. But those of your people could be your servants. Like today we have employees, things of that nature, right? So that's what Jeroboam was to Solomon, him and his father's house. They were Solomon's servants. Read on.
And his princes and his captains and rulers of his chariots and his horsemen.
So go back.
1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 26. And Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, and an Ephrathite of Zerata, Solomon's servant, whose mother's name was Zariah, a widow woman, even he lifted up his hand against the king.
Right. So Jeroboam and Solomon started beefing. All right, go ahead.
And this was the cause that he lifted up his hand against the king.
And now it's finna go into the story that led up to them beefing. Go ahead.
Solomon built Milo and repaired the breaches of the city of David his father.
Right. So Solomon was building up this city, repairing the breaches of this city. Go ahead.
And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor.
Read.
And Solomon, seeing the young man that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge of the house of Joseph.
Right. So the house of Joseph, meaning Ephraim and Manasseh, this young man Jeroboam, he had a very diligent hand. So Solomon said, you're going to be over all of the servants of the house of Ephraim and Manasseh in terms of the building of this city. Go ahead.
And it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way.
Right. So Jeroboam was going by his way, right? Leaving out of Jerusalem. And this prophet met him in the way. Go ahead.
And he had clad himself with a new garment.
So Jeroboam had on a new garment. Go ahead.
And they two were alone in the field.
Come on.
And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him.
Read.
And rent in 12 pieces.
Damn, the prophets was aggressive as hell. So Jeroboam had on a new garment. Prophet said, come here. You understand? Tore his garment in 12 pieces. Read.
And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces.
Take 10 pieces of this. Read.
For thus said the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee.
That man tore up his brand new garment just to show him that. Most High funny. You understand? But you read about a lot of examples like that. The prophets just to show what was going to happen in different ways to the nation of Israel, so on and so forth. Right? But this prophet is showing Jeroboam, listen, I'm going to split the kingdom. I'm going to give 10 tribes for you to rule over. Go ahead.
But he shall have one tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all tribes of Israel, because that they have forsaken me and have worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of Zidonians.
The Zidonians.
Zidonians.
So last time when we went over simping Solomon, we mentioned that you got to think about it. Solomon was the most wisest, glorious, the most glorious king that we had in terms of glory. You understand? Wisdom, fame, notoriety. So when he went off and he served these idols of his strange wives, it wasn't like the nation of Israel was just watching like, Solomon, what are you doing? They was following Solomon. You understand? He was an influence to the nation of Israel. So when he did it, multitudes followed after him. That's why the sin was so great. That's why the judgment that followed was so severe. Because he provoked and influenced many of the Israelites to follow behind him in his idolatry. You understand? Read on.
Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways, to do that which is right in my eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as did David his father.
Right, so Solomon caused a lot of Israel to go off and serve those same idols that he got into by way of his strange wives. Read.
Howbeit, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life for David my servant's sake.
Right, so while he alive, I ain't gonna take the kingdom from him. Right, go ahead.
Whom I have chose, because he kept my commandments and my statutes.
Read.
But I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand, and will give it unto thee, even 10 tribes.
So when his son rise up in his stead, that's when I'm going to split the kingdom and I'm going to give you 10 tribes, Jeroboam. Go ahead.
And unto his son will I give one tribe, that David my servant may have a light always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there.
Now hold that, get Sirach 47 and 22. So the Lord said, I'm going to leave one tribe to his son to give a light always before me in Jerusalem, which is where? In the land of Judah. Right? Read what you got.
The book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 47 and verse 22.
Uh-huh.
But the Lord would never leave off his mercy.
Right. So this is right after he said the kingdom was divided because of Solomon's sin, but that don't mean that I'm going to forsake them. Right? Go ahead.
Neither shall any of his works perish, neither will he abolish the posterity of his elect.
Read.
And the seed of him that loveth him, he will not take away. Wherefore he gave a remnant unto Jacob, and out of him a root out unto David.
Read that bottom part again.
And out of him a root unto David.
Right. So he gave a remnant unto Jacob and a root unto David, going into the southern kingdom. He would allow Judah to remain, and with Judah join a couple of other tribes, which we're going to get to later. All right, so go back to 1 Kings chapter 11, 37.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 37. And I will take thee, and thou shalt reign according to all that thou so desire, and shalt be king over Israel.
Right, 10 tribes, that is. Go ahead.
And it shall be, if thou wilt hearken unto all that I commanded thee.
So listen to what he telling Jeroboam. He telling Jeroboam, listen, if you hearken to all that I command you, go ahead.
And will walk in my ways, and do that is right in my sight, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as David my servant did, that I will be with thee, and build thee a sure house, as I built for David, and will give Israel unto thee.
So I want y'all to understand something, right? The Lord didn't pronounce that for Solomon's sin, that when he split the kingdoms, that the northern kingdom they're doomed to be wicked. You understand? He would split the kingdom, he would divide the kingdoms, but Jeroboam still had the choice to follow God and prosper. You understand? The 12 tribes wouldn't be unified for however long the Most High wanted it to be that way. But if Jeroboam chose to follow the Lord, they would have prospered. Go ahead.
Verse 39. And I will for this afflict the seed of David, but not forever.
But I ain't going to afflict the seed of David forever. Read.
Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam.
So Solomon got wind that Jeroboam had this prophecy pronounced unto him. Jeroboam believed that he was going to take 10 tribes. So Solomon hear about it. He like, no, hell no, we gonna stop this prophecy. Go ahead.
And Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt.
So Jeroboam got on down into Egypt. Read.
Unto Shishak, king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon.
Right. So he was in Egypt until the death of Solomon. So real quick, get Proverbs 16 verse 12. Just going back to the Lord telling Jeroboam, listen, if you serve me, then I will give you a sure house like I did to David. You understand? Read what you got.
The book of Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 12.
Read.
It is an abomination to kings to commit wickedness. For the throne is established by righteousness.
So Jeroboam could have established his throne over the northern kingdom, over the 10 tribes, in righteousness if he chose to keep the commandments, right? But we're going to see. All right? So now let's go back to 1 Kings chapter 11. Read verse 42.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 42. And the time that Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel was 40 years.
Right, from 971 to 931 BC. Go ahead.
And Solomon slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David his father. And Rehoboam.
And who?
And Rehoboam, his son, reigned in his stead.
Right, so Jeroboam and Rehoboam sound alike. That's not by coincidence, right? Remember, Jeroboam name means the people become numerous. Rehoboam means increase of the nation. You understand? So their names in sounding similar, that's because their names have similar meanings. Jeroboam is the people become numerous. Rehoboam is increase of the nation. That's what his name means. All right. So now let's go to 2 Chronicles 12 and 13 real quick. So this is just a little quick fact about Jeroboam. All right. Read what you got.
The book of 2 Chronicles chapter 12 and verse 13. So King Rehoboam strengthened himself in Jerusalem and reigned, for Rehoboam was one and 40 years old when he began to reign. And his reign 17 years. And he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city which the Lord had chosen out of all tribes of Israel to put his name there. And his mother's name was Naamah, and Ammonite.
And Ammonitis.
And Ammonitis.
Right. So his mama was an Ammonite, right? So I just wanted to throw that out there because you have this doctrine that in order to be an Israelite, basically you got a heathen mama, you're not an Israelite. You understand? Now watch this. Go to Matthew 1:1. Matthew chapter 1, verse 1. So do just a little side, boy. Read that.
The book of Matthew, chapter 1 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
The book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham.
So this is the genealogy of Jesus Christ, his father's lineage. Read verse 7.
Verse 7. And Solomon begat Rehoboam.
So Solomon begot Rehoboam. Read.
And Rehoboam begot Abiah.
Right. So guess what? Rehoboam is within that royal lineage of whom Christ came through. So Rehoboam was not no damn heathen just because his mama was. You understand? So that doctrine is garbage. This proves what Numbers 1:18 says, 1 Chronicles 7:9. The seed is determined by the father. This is one of the many proofs of that in Rehoboam. He was an Israelite because his daddy was an Israelite. You understand? So now, let's go back. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 1.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 1. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel were come to Shechem to make him king.
All right. Real quick, get the Zondervan. Go to page 543. Let's read about Shechem real quick. Number 3. So it says Rehoboam went to Shechem, and they would come to make him king in Shechem. Read that.
This is the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, page 543, Shechem. Ancestors of Manassites, sons of Shemda, Gileadite.
Read number 3.
Number 3. City and hill country of Ephraim.
Right. So Shechem was in the hill country of Ephraim. All right, go ahead.
Near S border of Manasseh. 41 miles north of Jerusalem.
Read.
And east end of pass between Mountain Ebal and Gerizim.
Go ahead.
Gerizim, one of the chief cities of Canaanites during most of 2nd millennium BC.
Go ahead.
First place visited by Abraham.
Read.
Jacob bought ground there.
So it's a lot of rich history going into this place. All right, go ahead.
Joseph buried there.
Joseph, the father of Ephraim and Manasseh, the head of the 10 tribes of the northern kingdom, he was buried there. Go ahead.
Scene of Abimelech.
And you read about that in Joshua, the 24th chapter, which is also the place where Joshua put the people under a covenant to him to obey the commandments of the Lord. So Shechem had a significant place in history amongst the Israelites. All right, go ahead.
Scene of Abimelech's abortive attempt to found a kingdom.
So the first class that we did, History in AM, dealing with the kings of Israel, when Abimelech tried to make himself king, where did that take place? In Shechem. Go ahead.
Jeroboam established his first royal residence there.
All right. So now notice it says that's where Jeroboam established his first royal residence, right? But we're reading that this is where Rehoboam was supposed to be made king. So let's see what ended up happening. Let's go back. 1 Kings 12. Let's read verse 2 now.
The book of 1 Kings, chapter 12 and verse 2. And it came to pass when Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who was yet in Egypt, heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon, and Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt.
So Jeroboam was waiting on Solomon to die. So he heard that Solomon is gone. Rehoboam is raised up in his stead. So now he know it's time for me to do my job and take my division of the tribes. Go ahead.
Verse 3, that they sent and called him, and Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying.
So Jeroboam became the spokesman for the 10 tribes of Israel, all right, outside of Judah. Go ahead.
Thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make thou the grievous service of thy father, and his heavy yoke which he put upon us lighter, and he will serve thee.
All right. So now, mind you, again, Jeroboam is the spokesman for the people, right? And he know his objective is to basically cause the kingdom to divide. And he take 10 tribes with him. So he goes and he says to Jeroboam, your father, meaning Solomon, made our yoke grievous. So what is he talking about? Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 4 real quick. 1 Kings chapter 4 and verse 7. Now, mind you, we went through the history of Solomon. It was a peaceable time. The people loved it. Israel was rejoicing. What the hell is he talking about? All right, read what you got.
The book of 1 Kings, chapter 4 and verse 7.
Uh-huh.
And Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, which provided victuals for the king of his household.
King and his household.
For the king and his household.
Uh-huh.
Each man his month in a year made provision.
So what does this mean? Solomon had 12 officers set up, one for each tribe of Israel, to go and collect basically a tribute from the people to provide the king's provisions. Now jump up to verse 22. Watch this.
Verse 22.
Come on.
And Solomon's provision for one day was 30 measures of fine flour, and 60 measures of meal.
Read.
10 fat oxen and 20 oxen out of the pastures, and 100 sheep, beside harts and roebucks and fallow deer and fatted fowl.
Right. So basically, and rightfully so, right? The king, he not finna go out there and work and hunt and all of that. So the people would, out of what they possessed, will provide to the officers once a month these provisions to suffice for Solomon's daily provisions, right? So now, mind you, Israel was up here at the time. Solomon, for the majority of his reign, was at peace for all the nations, with all the nations round about. But remember, towards the end of his reign, when he went off, what happened? The Lord stirred up enemies against him. So things were changing, right? So the yoke was not, he basically saucing it up. You understand? Making it seem like Solomon was oppressing the people. He wasn't oppressing the people. But it did make sense for Rehoboam coming up in his stead to tone it down. You understand? Tone down the provisions that was demanded of the people because times were changing. It wasn't the same, right? We had enemies now. We had to be mindful, right? So now watch this. Go back. Verse 6.
The book of 1 Kings, chapter 12 and verse
5.
Verse 5. And he said unto them, depart yet for 3 days, then come again to me. And the people departed.
So Rehoboam was like, all right, give me 3 days, and I come back with a decision about that. Now watch this. Read.
And King Rehoboam consulted with the old men that stood before Solomon his father while he yet lived, and said, how do ye advise that I may answer this people?
Right. So Rehoboam takes counsel from the old men, that Solomon counseled with while he was alive. Now watch this. Go to 1 Chronicles chapter 27 and verse 32 to get an idea, just to show, right? Because we read about King David, how David had the Holy Spirit within him, right? And we understand just through the Psalms, we see the level of understanding that the Most High imparted unto David, but yet he still had counsel. He still consulted with other men, right? Solomon likewise, he consulted with the men that his father had in his cabinet as well as their sons. You read about the princes that Solomon had in his cabinet, right? So the kings, although they had the Spirit of God and wisdom directly granted unto them from the Lord, they still took counsel. All right? So read what you got.
The book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 27 and verse 32.
Go ahead.
Also Jonathan, David's uncle, was a counselor.
Was a what?
A counselor.
Was a counselor. Go ahead.
A wise man and a scribe. And Jehiel, the son of Hakmani, was with the king's son.
Read.
And Ahithophel was a king's counselor.
Now, we know Ahithophel eventually went the hell off, but he was one of the king's counselors for a while. Go ahead.
And Hushai, the Archite, was a king's companion.
Read.
And after Ahithophel was Jehoiada, the son of Benaniah.
All right, so after Ahithophel went off, Jehoiada stepped up as one of the king's counselors. Go ahead.
The son of Benaiah. And Abiathar.
Uh-huh.
And the general of the king's army was Joab.
All right, so now go to Proverbs 27. Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 10.
The book of Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 10.
Uh-huh.
Thine own friend and thy father's friend forsake not.
Right, so Solomon, remember, when David passed, you still had some of David's counselors that were still alive. Guess what? Solomon embraced them as his counselors, and their sons were amongst Solomon. They was brought up with Solomon, so Solomon naturally took counsel with them as well. Go ahead.
Neither go into thy brother's house in the day of thy calamity.
Uh-huh.
For better is a neighbor that is nearer than a brother far off.
Now watch this. Go to Job chapter 12 and verse 12. So you got to imagine, right? Rehoboam was 41 years old when he took the throne. His father reigned for 40 years, right? So he was a baby. He was brought up in the kingdom. You understand? So these men that stood before Solomon, they saw Rehoboam from an infant, right? So these men were aged men of wisdom, men that was counseling with the wisest man that ever walked the earth. You understand? So when he took counsel with them, watch this. Read that.
The book of Job, chapter 12 and verse 12.
Uh-huh.
With the ancient is wisdom, and in length of days understanding.
Right. So we understand that other precepts say that's not always the case, but with these men, that was the case. Right? Go to Sirach chapter 25. Sirach 25 verse 4. The men that stood with Solomon, these aged men, these old men. Read that.
The book of Sirach, chapter 25 and verse 4.
Go ahead.
Oh, how comely is a thing is judgment for gray hairs.
For what?
For gray hairs.
Read.
And for ancient men to know counsel.
For ancient men, old men, elder men to know counsel. Come on.
Oh, how comely is the wisdom of old men.
Uh-huh.
And understanding and counsel to men of honor.
Read.
Much experience is the crown of old men.
These men, they counsel with Solomon. You understand? They had the experience of the kingdom on earth. Much experience is the crown of old men. Go ahead.
And the fear of God is their glory.
And these men feared God. These wasn't wicked men. They didn't conspire with Solomon to do the folly. You understand? These was men of experience and they feared God. So when Rehoboam consulted with them, he was supposed to listen. Go back to 1 Kings chapter 12. Read verse 7.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 7.
So this is the counsel that these aged men gave. Read.
And they spake unto him, saying, If thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, and will serve them, and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be thy servant forever.
Then they will be thy servants forever. So let's see if this is sound counsel. Now we got to make sure that we comprehending this correctly. They said, that will be a servant unto this people this day and will serve them and will answer them and speak good words to them. then they will be thy servants forever. Are they telling him, just be a yes man, just do what they say? Let's see what this is actually saying. Get Exodus chapter 18 and verse 19. About speaking good words to them. Serve them. Let's see what that means. Read that.
The book of Exodus, chapter 18 and verse 19.
Go ahead.
Hearken now unto my voice. I will give thee counsel, and God shall be with thee. Be thou for the people to Godward.
So be thou for the people. This is what it means to serve them. Be thou for the people to Godward. Meaning as a king, you have to labor. Right, in Deuteronomy 17, it say we got to read in the book of the law day and night when you sit on that throne. Why? Because you got to be able to properly direct and lead and guide the people in God's commandments. You have to be for them to Godward. Go ahead.
Be thou for the people to Godward, that thou mayest bring the causes unto God.
Read.
And thou shalt teach them ordinance and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do.
That's the good words that you're to speak to them. You understand the laws of God, which will show them the way they must walk, the work that they must do. All right, watch this. Go to Sirach chapter 4, verse 7. To serve them. All right, Sirach chapter 4, verse 7.
The book of Sirach, chapter 4 and verse 7.
Go ahead.
Get thyself the love of the congregation.
This is the counsel of the old men based on their experience, their wisdom. Listen, Rehoboam, this is what you want to do. Answer them. Get the love of the congregation. Hear them out. Go ahead.
And bow thy head to a great man.
Go ahead.
Let it not grieve thee to bow down thine ear to the poor.
They just want you to lighten the yoke. Stuff ain't the same. They can't, them provisions is kind of, tone it down a little bit. Don't let it grieve you to listen to them in a poor state. Go ahead.
And give him a friendly answer with meekness.
And do what?
Give him a friendly answer with meekness.
So speak good words to them. Give them a friendly answer with meekness. Don't piss the people off. You understand? This is the counsel of the aged men. Go to Proverbs 20 and 28.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 20 and verse 28.
Come on.
Mercy and truth preserve the king, and his throne is upholden by mercy.
The throne is upholden by mercy. So the counselors, the aged men are telling Rehoboam, this new king, new little whippersnapper. You understand? Show mercy. Hear the people out. Lighten the yoke. Teach them, show them the way they must walk. Serve them, and they will be your servants forever. Your throne will be upholden. You understand? This is wise. This is sound counsel from the aged men. So go back to 1 Kings chapter 12. Read verse 8.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 8.
But
he forsook the counsel of the old men.
Damn. So we just read, that was some good ass counsel right there. That was going to be the key to his success. He forsook the counsel of the old men. Watch this. Get Tobit 4 and 18 real quick. Tobit chapter 4 verse 18.
The book of Tobit chapter 4 and verse 18. Ask counsel of all that are wise.
So he did that step. He asked counsel of wise, old, experienced men that stood before his father, who was renowned for his wisdom. He did that step, but watch this.
And despise not any counsel that is profitable.
But he chose to despise it. He forsook their counsel. You understand? You're not supposed to despise the counsel of the wise. All right? Because, hey, like I said, that would have been the ticket to his success on the throne. But go back to 1 Kings 12 and 8. Read it again.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 8. But he forsook the counsel of the old men, which they had given him, and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him, and which stood before him.
Read.
And he said unto them, what counsel give ye, that we may answer this people, who have spoken to me, saying, make the yoke which thy father did put upon us lighter.
Right. So Rehoboam said, I wonder what my homeboys got to say, man. I don't know. I don't just serving them and speaking good word. I don't know. Let me check with my homeboys. What y'all think? What y'all, they said they talking about make the yoke lighter. What y'all think? Go ahead.
And the young men that were grown up with him spake unto him, saying, thus shalt thou speak unto this people that spake unto thee, saying, thy father made our yoke heavy, but make thou it lighter unto us.
So this is how you respond to the people that's asking you to lighten the yoke. Go ahead.
Thus shalt thou say unto them, my little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins.
Read it again.
Thus shalt thou say unto them, my little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins.
Right. So basically what he's saying, if y'all thought my father was doing something, you understand, my boss, how I deal with y'all is going to be much worse. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. This is the counsel of the younger men. The counsel of the young men telling him to turn up. What the hell y'all mean lighten the yoke? Hell y'all think I am? Y'all thought my father was something. Y'all just don't know. Go ahead.
And now, whereas my father did lay you with a heavy yoke,
I
will add to your yoke.
Now you got to think this sound dumb as hell. You understand? Solomon had a heavy yoke on you. Okay, I'm going to add to it. What type of shit is that for you to tell the people that's crowning you king, that's making you king? Do you really think that they going to have your best interests when you telling them you going to add to the yoke that they asking you to take away from? Go ahead.
My father hath chastised you with whips, but I would chastise you with scorpions.
Again, that's some dumbass counsel, right? But anyway, go to Ecclesiastes 10 verse 5. Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 5.
The book of Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 5.
Go ahead.
There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, as an error which proceedeth from the ruler.
Right. So it's an evil under the sun, right? When you see an error that proceed from the ruler, you see the man that is set up in a position to rule, and he make a dumbass decision. That is a very evil thing under the sun. Let's see his error. Go to Sirach chapter 10. Sirach chapter 10 verse 21. This is his error. Read that.
The book of Sirach chapter 10 and verse 21. The fear of the Lord goeth before the obtaining of authority, but roughness and pride is the losing thereof.
But what?
But roughness and pride is the losing thereof.
But roughness. This is the counsel of the young men. Be rough. Talk crazy to the people. Bring up your daddy dick. You what the hell? You understand? Roughness. That's how you lose, that's how you lose the authority that you just gained. All right? This is an error from the ruler. Go back. 1 Kings 12 and 12.
The book of 1 Kings, chapter 12 and verse 12. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the third day, as the king had appointed, saying, come to me again the third day. And the king answered the people roughly.
He answered them how?
Roughly.
Remember, we just read roughness is how you lose your authority. You understand? That's an error that proceeded from the ruler. Go ahead.
And forsook the old men's counsel that they gave him.
He despised that wise, profitable counsel. He despised it. Go ahead.
And spake to them after the counsel of the young men, saying, my father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father also chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions.
So he went ahead and told and said that dumb stuff. He went ahead and said it. Go ahead.
Wherefore the king hearkened not unto the people.
So he didn't hearken to the people. He didn't get the love of the congregation. He didn't choose to serve them. Go ahead.
For the cause was from the Lord.
But that's the thing. It was of the Lord. You understand? The Lord put the spirit on him to be stupid. I hold that, get Proverbs 16, verse 1. The cause was from the Lord. All right, because the prophecy had to be fulfilled. The kingdom had to split. It had to be divided because of the sin of Solomon. Read what you got.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 1.
The
preparations of the heart in men, and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord.
Remember when we read in 1 Kings 22, which we're going to get to later on down in the history, right? When the evil spirit was like, I go down there and be a lion spirit in the mouth of the prophets. You understand? The Lord has sent spirits from the heaven to be you. You're like, what's going on right now? You don't know why the hell you saying what you saying. It's because he came from the Lord. You understand? That's why it will behoove you to be in a spirit so you won't be a vessel of stupidity. You understand? Because the Lord he would choose out certain people that ain't right to be vessels of stupidity. You understand? And that's what happened with Rehoboam. The cause was from the Lord. Go back to 1 Kings chapter 12.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 15. Wherefore the king hearkened not unto the people, for the cause was from the Lord, that he might perform his sayings, which the Lord spake by Ahijah the Shilonite unto Jeroboam the son of Nebat.
Right, so the brother that had ripped up his new garment and gave him 10 pieces of it or whatever, that had to be fulfilled. So Rehoboam had to forsake the good counsel, take the counsel from the young dummies, and speak roughly to the people to not gain the love of them. You understand? And this will be the result. Read on.
So when all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered the king, saying, What portion have we in David? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse.
Read.
To your tents, O Israel. Now see to thy own house, David.
So, because remember, this is going down in Shechem, which is in the hill country of Ephraim. They was finna crown him. They said, man, get your ass, see to your own place, David. Take your ass back to Judah. This is over with. I don't know what the hell you thought was finna happen. You don't want to like that. You talking about you gonna chastise us with scorpions. Man, get the hell out of here. Go ahead.
So Israel departed unto their tents.
So Israel departed to their tents. Now, watch this. Pull up the map real quick. Put that map on the screen. All right. So we talk about Southern Kingdom and Northern Kingdom. Now, when you read the book of Joshua, it describes it in words, which you're looking at on this map right here. All right. So as you can see, Judah is at the bottom, right? On the east side of Jordan, you got Gad, Reuben, half tribe of Manasseh. You read about that in Numbers 32, right? It was a land good for cattle, whatever. They went to war, and then they went back and settled on the other side of Jordan, right? But all of those tribes are north of Judah and Benjamin, except Simeon. You read about that in Joshua as well. Judah territory was too much, so Simeon got a part of their inheritance. Now, don't ask me how they migrated north. I don't know. There's something we're going to have to ask the Lord in the wilderness. All right? I don't really get into detail about that in the scriptures, but Simeon ended up migrating north from their original territory in Judah. When you read the book of Joshua, all right, they migrated north. So as you can see, Judah and Benjamin, they are at the bottom. They south. The other tribes are north of them. That's why it's called Southern Kingdom and Northern Kingdom. All right. So now go to 1 Chronicles chapter 5, verse 1. So we're gonna see basically the dissension between the northern tribes, basically the tribes headed by Ephraim, in opposition to Judah, like a little tension or whatever, and the reason why they felt entitled to be able to deny or approve, whatever the case may be in terms of the king. All right, First Chronicles 5, verse 1.
The book of First Chronicles, chapter 5 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Now the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, for he was the firstborn, but for as much he has as he defiled his father's bed.
Right, because when you read in Genesis, right, Reuben went and slept with one of Jacob's wives. You know what I'm saying? One of the damn stepmama. What the hell? Reuben was a little thundercat, right? Go ahead.
His birthright was given unto the sons of Joseph.
Right, so you don't read about that in Genesis, but in Chronicles, it's letting you know when he did that, he lost his damn birthright. Go ahead.
The son of Israel. And the genealogy is not to be reckoned after the birthright.
So guess who got it? Guess who got the birthright after Reuben lost it? It said his birthright was given unto the sons of Joseph. Who was the sons of Joseph? Ephraim and Manasseh. So they had the birthright when Reuben lost it. Go ahead.
Verse 2. For Judah prevailed above his brethren, and of him came the chief ruler. But the birthright was Joseph.
But the birthright was Joseph. So all this time they knew that they had the birthright. You understand? Now watch this. Go to Genesis 48. Genesis 48, verse 21. So this is where their entitlement came from, and the tension between them and Judah. Read that.
The book of Genesis, chapter 48, and verse 21.
And
Israel said unto Joseph, Behold, I die, but God shall be with you, and bring you again unto the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to thee one portion above thy brethren.
So this is what Jacob said to Joseph, right? And Ephraim and Manasseh, as his two sons, was recognized as him. You understand? So he gave Ephraim and Manasseh a portion above the rest of the tribes because Joseph was his favorite. Go ahead.
Which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with the sword and with my bow.
Now watch this. Go to chapter 45 and verse 5. Let's see how Joseph earned a portion above his brethren. Read that.
The book of Genesis, chapter 45 and verse 5.
Go ahead.
Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither.
Right, because the brothers, they was envious of Joseph, and they sold their own brother, their own little brother, into slavery. So he said, listen, don't feel just super guilty about it. Read on.
For God did send me before you to preserve life.
Read that again.
For God did send me before you to preserve life.
So Joseph understood spiritually this was all in the grand purpose of the Most High God. That was all to lead up to this moment. He knew there would be a famine, and you would need one of us would have to be in authority to save us. You understand? That was the grand plan of the Lord. So don't feel bad. Go ahead.
For these 2 years had the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives.
To do what?
To save your lives by a great deliverance.
So what is this saying? If it wasn't for Joseph, the father of Ephraim and Manasseh, there would be no Israel. We would have perished. We would have died off due to the famine. You understand? By way of Joseph. And remember that dream he had. Remember that all his brethren would come bowing unto him, right? So he the reason why Israel is still alive today. So he earned a portion above his brethren. So you got to think, Ephraim and Manasseh, right? They knowing they got the birthright. They know the history of their father Joseph, how he the reason why they all alive. You understand? They always had a sense of entitlement, right? Now watch this. Go to 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 41. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 41.
The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 19 and verse 41.
Come on.
And behold, all the men of Israel came to the king and said unto the king, Why have our brethren, the men of Judah, stolen thee away?
All right. So this is after remember Absalom, David's son, was seeking to kill him, right? And, Joab against David's wishes ended up killing Absalom or whatever, but David was able to be restored back to his throne. But when it was time for him to be restored, Judah had, by their own will, brought David themselves. So the other tribes, they wasn't feeling that. They were like, what the hell wrong with Judah? Then stole you away. Go ahead.
And have brought the king and his household and all David's men with him over Jordan.
Read.
And all the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, because the king is near of kin to us.
Judah was like, he is Judah. What the hell? The hell you mean? What's the problem? He Judah. Go ahead.
Wherefore, then be ye angry for this matter.
The hell you mad for? He from the tribe of Judah. It's only right that we bring him to. What the hell y'all talking about? Go ahead.
Have we eaten at all of the king's cost?
Right. Did he throw us a feast or something? Read on.
Or hath he given us any gift?
Did he break us off for doing it? Y'all acting like he gave us a damn pension and gave us a check for bringing him to his throne. The hell y'all tripping for? Go ahead.
And the men of Israel answered the men of Judah and said, we have 10 parts in the king.
We have what?
We have 10 parts in the king.
So as you can see, those tribes headed by Ephraim, they had that sense of entitlement. They're like, man, look, we got 10 parts in the king. Y'all just one damn tribe. You understand? We got 10 parts in the king. Go ahead.
And we have also more right in David than ye.
We have what?
More right in David than ye.
You know what that's talking about, right? They saying we got the birthright. You understand? We got the birthright, Judah. What the hell wrong with you? We got more right in crowning the king and enthroning him than you do. You better go back and read. We alive because of our daddy, Joseph. Go ahead.
Why then did ye despise us, that our advice should not be first, and in bringing back our king?
Y'all should have came and checked with us before doing y'all own little Judah thing. You understand? Northern kid, they weren't feeling that. All right, go ahead.
And the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel.
But, as we reading it like it's a back and forth, but Judah, there was a little, bit more, Man, with y'all, better man, get the hell on with that. Hell, he Judah, we Judah. With the y'all, shut that, move around. All right, but it was tension. It was dissension already. You understand, between the tribes, the northern kingdom, right? Before it was the northern kingdom, just the tribes that were north, headed by Ephraim. They felt that entitlement. Going back to the history with Joseph, right? But the Lord had favor upon Judah. So from there, go back to 1 Kings chapter 12. Let's read verse 17.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
But as for the children of Israel, which dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was over the tribute.
Right. So Rehoboam, he thinking it's sweet. He thinking, man, look, whatever. I'm the king. My daddy's Solomon. I'm on the throne, whatever. They going to pay these damn, so they going to be under this damn yoke. So he sent the officer to collect the tribute, the provision. Go ahead.
And all Israel stoned him with stones, that he died.
So the other tribes let them know, we ain't playing with you, nigga. We ain't doing that. This shit over. You know when blood gets shed, it's real. You understand? It's war now. It ain't no more talking, ain't no more playing, ain't no more games. They done lay the Negro down. You understand? Read on.
Therefore King Rehoboam made speed to get him up to his chariot, to flee to Jerusalem.
So Jeroboam had get up out of here. He's like, nah, these niggas ain't playing. I didn't really lost the love of the brethren for real. It's hitting them now. Go ahead.
So Israel rebelled against the house of David unto this day.
Read.
And it came to pass, when all Israel heard that Jeroboam was come again, that they sent and called him unto the congregation, and made him king over all Israel.
Thus the prophecy being fulfilled that the brother showed him when he ripped up his new garment. Go ahead.
There was none that followed the house of David, but the tribe of Judah only.
Right. So we gonna get into that, how it ended up being more than just the tribe of Judah itself, right? But watch this, read on.
And when Rehoboam was come to Jerusalem, he assembled all the house of Judah with the tribe of Benjamin.
Wait, what?
With the tribe of Benjamin.
So verse 20 say tribe of Judah only. Then you read a couple of the next sentence, it say he assembled the tribe of Judah with the tribe of Benjamin. Right? So y'all saw on the map, pull the map back up. Pull the map back up. So it's a couple of factors as to why Benjamin was rolling with Judah. All right. When you look at the map, you see Jerusalem, right? We know Jerusalem for being the capital of Judah, but you see it's in the territory of Benjamin. Now it's smack that is right. Ephraim is right above it. Judah is right below it. So they could have went either way. They could have chose either side. But you see where Jerusalem at, right? Watch this. Joshua chapter 19. Joshua chapter 19, verse 11.
The book of Joshua, chapter 19 and verse 11. And their border went up.
It is 18, my bad. Joshua 18, verse 11.
Okay. The book of Joshua, chapter 18 and verse 11.
Uh-huh.
And the lot of the tribe of the children of Benjamin.
The lot of the tribe of the children of Benjamin, their inheritance. Go ahead.
Came up according to their families. And the coast of their lot came forth between the children of Judah.
So the land that they was allotted was between the children of Judah. Go ahead.
And the children of Joseph.
And the children of Joseph, meaning Ephraim. That's what you saw on the map. You understand? They was right in the middle. Ephraim was up top. Judah was right up under him. But watch this. Read verse 28.
Verse 28.
Uh-huh.
And Zillah, Eleph.
So these are the cities that was within the land of Benjamin. Right? Go ahead.
And Jebusi.
And Jebusai.
Jebusai.
Which is what?
Which is Jerusalem. Which is Jerusalem.
Which is what?
Which is Jerusalem.
Which is Jerusalem. So you know how, like, for example, you got Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas. You understand? That's how Jerusalem was. You had parts of Jerusalem that was in Benjamin territory, and you had parts of Jerusalem which was in Judah territory. So they shared the place that the Most High chose to put his name there. You understand? So that was a factor in the side that Benjamin chose. Let's see what else was a factor. Go to 1 Samuel chapter 20 and verse 42. Let's read that.
The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 20 and verse, you said 42?
Yep.
Verse 42. And Jonathan said to David.
So Jonathan was the son of Saul from the tribe of Benjamin. David was from the tribe of Judah. Go ahead.
Go in peace, for as much as we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying.
Right, they made a covenant. They swore in the name of the Lord. You read about that in chapter 18, 1 Samuel 18. Go ahead.
Saying, the Lord be between me and thee.
The Lord gonna be between me and you, me being Jonathan, you being David. Go ahead.
And between my seed and thy seed forever.
So there was a sworn oath between Jonathan and his seed and David and his seed forever. Go ahead.
And he arose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city.
So you had a pact between Jonathan and his seed, which would be from the tribe of Benjamin, and David and his seed, which would be from the tribe of Judah. So you had that pact going on between families of Judah and Benjamin, and they shared the territory of the holy city. You understand? So that's why Benjamin ended up rolling with Judah. All right, go back to 1 Kings chapter 12.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 21.
Uh-huh.
And when Rehoboam was come to Jerusalem, he assembled all the house of Judah with the tribe of Benjamin, and 180,000 chosen men, which were warriors, to fight against the house of Israel, to bring the kingdom again to Rehoboam the son of Solomon.
So he sent the officer to collect the taxes. They didn't drill them. You understand? They killed him. They smoked him. Right? So he like, man, we finna suit up. We finna go slide on these niggas. You understand? That's where his mind went. He went and got war. You remember? Hey, Benjamin, they wasn't no damn joke. You understand? When it came, how they was with the sling, with the left hand, Benjamin wasn't no damn joke. So he like, man, we finna go to war. Remember, Benjamin whooped all the tribes by themselves. The Lord had to intervene in the book of Judges. You understand? Rehoboam know what he working with. He like, man, we finna take the damn kingdom. Go ahead.
Verse 22.
Uh-huh.
But the word of God came unto Shemaiah, the man of God, saying, Speak unto Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, king of Judah, and unto all the house of Judah and Benjamin, and to the remnant of the people.
The remnant of the people is going into some of the northern kingdom that dwelt in Jerusalem, that wanted to serve God. It wasn't just southern kingdom without any portion of the other tribes whatsoever. That's why when you get to the New Testament, for example, you got Anna, which was from, what tribe she was from in Luke 2? Asher, right? You will see the remnants of northern kingdom amongst the Jews throughout the history, throughout the New Testament, because it was always a little small remnant that dwelt amongst the southern kingdom, right? Go ahead.
And to the remnant of the people, saying, Thus said the Lord, Ye shall not go up, nor fight against your brethren, the children of Israel.
Uh-huh.
Return every man to his house. For this thing is from me.
This thing is from who?
This thing is from me.
Right. So the Lord sent the prophet like, listen, I know what's on y'all. Y'all got murder on the mind. Y'all ready to do y'all thing. Listen, this is from me. This division between the tribes, I sanctioned this. Fall back. Go ahead.
They hearkened therefore to the word of the Lord, and returned to depart according to the word of the Lord.
Now read verse 25.
Verse 25.
Uh-huh.
Then Jeroboam built Shechem in Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein, and went out from thence, and built Penuel.
So that's what we read in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. This is where Jeroboam established his throne at, in Shechem first. Go ahead.
And Jeroboam said in his heart, Now shall the kingdom return to the house of David.
Now watch this. Remember what the prophet told him, right? By the word of the Lord. Listen, if you hearken unto me and do my ways or whatever, I will cause your kingdom to prosper. But this is what came into Jeroboam evil mind. He like, the people gonna return to the house of David. This is his reasoning. Go ahead.
If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem.
Because eventually, right, they're gonna have to go to Jerusalem to sacrifice to the Most High. Go ahead.
Then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Lord, even unto Rehoboam, king of Judah. And they shall kill me, and go again to Rehoboam, king of Judah.
So this is where Jeroboam's mind went. Instead of having faith on what the Lord told him by the way of the prophet, like, listen, you hearken unto me, do this, you going to thrive. You going to be all right. But his mind went left. He like, man, when the people got to go to Jerusalem, they heart going to incline to Rehoboam, and they're going to end up killing me, and I'm going to lose my little kingdom that I just got established. That's where his mind went. Read on.
Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold.
So he took counsel with obviously some wicked-ass demons, right, and made 2 calves of gold. Mind you, we all are familiar with the history that happened in the wilderness. You understand? When our forefathers made the golden calf, this nigga did doubled up. He said two he made 2 of them. Go ahead.
And made 2 calves of gold, and said unto them, It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem.
Hey, y'all, listen, y'all doing all that. Y'all got to travel, go to Jerusalem. That's too much. Read.
Behold, the gods.
Behold, what?
The gods.
Thy gods.
Oh, behold, thy gods.
Look, these your guys right here. Read.
O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
So I'm telling you, but this is how you know we've always been a sick people. You understand? This man created two cows of gold. And he literally went to the people like, look, here go your guys right here that delivered you from me. They didn't exist when we came out of Egypt. You just made them. Where the hell was the Israelites with some shit? Like, Jeroboam, you bugged the hell. You just made them. They didn't bring us out of Egypt. You just made them. You understand? But read on.
Behold, thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt. And he set the one in Bethel, and the other put he in Dan.
So he said one of the golden calves in Bethel and one of the golden calves in Dan. Go ahead.
And this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan.
And the people favored the one in Dan. Now watch this. Let's deal with Bethel real quick. Go to Judges chapter 4, verse 5. Let's see where this was. Judges chapter 4, verse 5. Bethel. Go ahead.
The book of Judges, chapter 4, and verse 5. And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah, between Ramah and Bethel, in Mount Ephraim.
And where?
In Mount Ephraim.
So you had Bethel, which was in Mount Ephraim, right? Now watch this. Let's deal with Dan. Let's go to Judges chapter 18 in verse 2. So this is going into the history because a lot of people wonder, like, what the hell happened to Dan? When you read Revelation 7, you don't read about them being, and Judah was sealed 12,000 and 12,000. You don't read that in there. What the hell going on with that? Why he don't got a gate? You understand? Because Dan was amongst the first tribes and never went away from the sin of idolatry. They was the pioneers amongst Israel when it came to idolatry. All right, watch this. Judges 18 and 2.
The book of Judges, chapter 18 and verse 2. And the children of Dan sent of their family 5 men from their coast, men of valor, from Zerah and from Ashtaol, to spy out the land.
Because they was one of the last tribes to get the inheritance. You understand? So they trying to find a land to some people to overthrow to take their land to establish their land, right? So they sent out 5 men to spy out the land. Read.
And to search it. And they said unto them, go, search the land. Who, when they came to Mount Ephraim, to the house of Micah, they lodged there.
Right. So they on their journey, they lodged with this man named Micah, right, from the tribe of Ephraim. Now watch this. Jump down to verse 14.
Verse 14. Then answered the 5 men that went to spy out the country of Laish.
So this is what happened, right? They stayed with Micah. They found out Micah had a little young Levite that he hired to be his priest for his idols. You understand? So they checking him out. They like, damn, he got a priest. He got some gods, some little fancy little idols. Okay. So they find out the land that they plan on attacking to overthrow and claim as their own. But on the way to when they got their little 60, was it 660? 600. They got their 600 men together to go to war. But on their way to go to war to take their land, they like, hey, they passing through. They like, hey, watch this. Read. Verse 14.
Verse 14. Then answered the 5 men that went to spy out the country of Laish, and said unto their brethren, do ye know that there is in these houses an ephod, and teraphim, and a graven image, and a molten image?
So imagine this, right? Let's say, just like some homeboys in the hood, right? One day, little JJ, he go over to this girl house, right? He go in the girl house, and they got a flash screen. They got damn Xbox One. They got, you know what I'm saying, all type of little fancy stuff in the crib. So he take mental notes, right? So one day, you know, some weeks later or whatever, he walking through the hood with the homies late at night. They about 10, 20 deep or something like that. They walking through the hood on their way to do something. And they passing by the house. He like, hey, y'all know it. In such and such crib, they got a flat screen. They got it. You know what I'm saying? They got some goodies. That's what's happening here. So it's 600 men. They on their way to war. They on their way to take some land. The 5 men were like, hey, you know over there about what we passing by. He got this. He got that. He got a molten image. He got a graven image. He got a priest in that motherfucker. Dude, you hear me? You understand? Read on.
Now, therefore, consider what ye have to do.
Right. So let's consider what you think we finna pass up this opportunity. Go ahead.
And they turned thitherward and came to the house of the young man, the Levite.
So they took a little detour and stopped by that house. Go ahead. That's why the scriptures say, don't let every man in your house. For real. Because some people, they looking at your belong, they scoping it out. They like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be back. You understand? So they take the detour. They go to the man Micah house. Read.
Even unto the house of Micah, and saluted him.
They saluted the Levite. Go ahead.
And the 600 men appointed with their weapons of war, which were of the children of Dan, stood by the entering of the gate. And the 5 men that went to spy out the land went up and came in thither.
So the 600 men on standby by the gate, while the 5 men who had been in the house already, they run up in the house. Go ahead.
And took the graven image, and the ephod, and the teraphim, and the molten image.
So they hit a lick. So you telling me the nigga in the hood in America went the first one to hit a lick? You got the Danites in the Bible hitting a lick, y'all. Read on.
And the priest stood in the entering of the gate with the 600 men that were appointed with weapons of war. And these went into Micah's house and fetched the carved image, the ephod, and the teraphim, and the molten image. Then said the priest unto them, what do ye?
So the young Levite like, what the hell y'all got going on? Read on.
And they said unto him, hold thy peace, lay thy hand upon thy mouth.
Like, shh. Go ahead.
And go with us, and be to us a father and a priest.
You coming with us, little nigga. Go ahead.
Is it better for thee to be a priest unto the house of one man?
You want to stay here and be a priest to just little old Micah? Go ahead.
Or that thou be a priest unto a tribe and a family in Israel.
Well, you finna be a priest to a whole tribe, nigga. You finna level up. Read.
And the priest's heart was glad and took the ephod.
So like, okay, man. Let go. Go ahead.
And the teraphim and the graven image and went in the midst of the people.
Tell you, bro, we was a hot ass mess, bro. I'm telling you. Jump down to verse 22.
Verse 22.
29.
Verse 29. And they called the name of the city Dan, after the name of Dan, their father.
So hold on, wait. Damn, did I want to read? I want to keep reading. Read verse 22, yeah.
Verse 22. And when they were a good way from the house of Micah, the men that were in the houses near to Micah's house were gathered together and overtook the children of Dan.
Right. So before they got too far, Micah and his neighbors, they caught up with them while they was leaving with his stuff. Go ahead.
And they cried unto the children of Dan, and they turned their faces and said unto Micah.
So Micah and his neighbors cried to the children of Dan as they leaving. So Dan turned around to Micah. What they say?
What aileth thee, that thou comest with such a company?
What the hell wrong with you, Micah? Coming with your neighbors like you finna do something. Go ahead.
And he said, ye have taken away my gods, which I made.
He like, you took my, what Red say to Debo? That's my mama chain.
Well, grandma gave me that shit.
Grandma gave me that chain. You took away my gods. Go ahead.
Which I made, and the priest, and ye are gone away.
You took my gods and my little Levite, my little youngster. Go ahead.
And what have I more? And
what else I got? Y'all took everything I got. Go ahead.
And what is this that ye say unto me? What aileth
So
thee?
what the hell you mean what's wrong with me? You know what's wrong with me. Go ahead.
And the children of Dan said unto him, Let not thy voice be heard among us,
Man, shut the hell up. Go ahead.
lest angry fellows run upon thee, and thou lose thy life with the lives of thy household.
Hey, listen. You say one more word and we'll run up on your ass right now. Lay your head down. You get, bro, we the people, bro. We the people. I'm telling you. This ain't nobody but Negroes. You can't convince me this them little weird ass white people with the little. This ain't them. This is us. All right? Where we at? Keep reading.
Verse 26. And the children of Dan went their way. And when Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back unto his house.
He had to back down. You understand? It is what it is. They had to take that L. He was not finna prevail against them Danites. Now jump down to 29.
Verse 29.
So now they went on their way with their priests and their guys that they robbed, the lick that they hit, and they went on and took that city that they planned on taking with the 600 men. Go ahead.
And they called the name of the city Dan, after the name of Dan their father.
So this is the same city where later in the future, Jeroboam would set up that golden calf that everybody would gravitate to. This is the background on how it became the city of Dan. All right, go ahead.
Who was born unto Israel.
So they named it after their forefather Dan. Go ahead.
Howbeit, the name of the city was Laish at the first. And the children of Dan set up the graven image.
They did what?
The children of Dan set up the graven image.
So as soon as they took the city and established the city, they set up the graven image that they took from Micah's house. Go ahead.
And Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, he and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land.
Right. So they had idols and idolatrous priests set up since way back then in Dan. Go ahead.
And they set them up Micah's graven image, which he made all the time that the house of God was in Shiloh.
Right. So Dan, they had that spirit from a long time ago to serve idols. You understand? So when Jeroboam set that thing up in Dan, that was like the idolatry headquarters. That's why the Lord has so much wrath against Dan. Is Danites gonna be in the kingdom? Yes. You got Danites in the island. They the so-called Carib and Arawak Indians. That's who they descend from, right? But will they have their own inheritance? No. All right, it is what it is. So from there, let's go back to 1 Kings 12, read verse 31.
The book of 1 Kings, chapter 12 and verse 31. And he made an house of high places.
So Jeroboam made a house of high places for idols. Go ahead.
And made priests of the lowest of the people, which were not of the sons of Levi.
So remember, you had Judah and Benjamin, they stuck together, right? Now, in Ephraim and the northern tribes, they like, we don't want you damn Yah serving. You know what I'm saying? We they made them priests of the lowest of the tribes to sacrifice unto devils. All right, so watch this. Hold that. Go to 2 Chronicles chapter 11. 2 Chronicles chapter 11 and verse 5.
The book of 2 Chronicles chapter 11 and verse 5. And Rehoboam dwelt in Jerusalem and built cities for defense in Judah.
Jump down to verse 11.
Verse 11. And he fortified the strongholds and put captains in them and stored up victuals and of oil and wine. And in every several city he put shields and spears and made them exceeding strong, having Judah and Benjamin on his side.
Right. So again, Rehoboam establishing his kingdom in Jerusalem, and he got Judah and Benjamin on his side. Watch this. Read.
And the priests and the Levites were in all Israel,
Read.
resorted to him out of all their coasts.
So eventually, the priests, the Levites, ended up resorting unto Rehoboam in Jerusalem from all their coasts, from the coast in Asher, Naphtali, Manasseh, the west side Manasseh, the east side Manasseh, you understand? Dan, Ephraim, Gad, all that. They started to resort to Jerusalem. Why? Read on.
For the Levites left their suburbs and their possession and came to Judah and Jerusalem. For Jeroboam and his sons had cast them off from executing the priest's office unto the Lord.
That's what we just read in 1 Kings chapter 12. He made him priests out of the lowest of the tribes. He didn't want them with their godly Levitical customs. You understand? He wanted to have people devoted to sacrifice to devils. He did not want the people to have any influence to serve the Most High God of Israel. So the Levites, they had to go back to their original habitation, Jerusalem. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And he ordained him priests for the high places.
Read.
And for the devils and for the calves which he had made.
Right. The Levites wasn't no good for that task, to be priests to 2 golden calves. All right, go ahead.
And after them.
Because even in the history with Moses, after they made the golden calf, what was the one tribe that stood with Moses and went and started slaying the people that had served that idol? It was Levi. Levi had a little zeal for the Lord. You understand? So they wasn't no good for Jeroboam's agenda. So they resorted back to Jerusalem to be with Rehoboam. Go ahead.
And after them, out of all the tribes of Israel.
So after the Levites resorted out of all their coasts to come to Rehoboam in Jerusalem, what did it say?
Such as set their hearts to seek the Lord, God of Israel.
So out of all the tribes, whoever set their hearts to seek the Lord God of Israel, read,
came to Jerusalem to sacrifice unto the Lord God of their fathers.
So again, that's adding to the remnant of other tribes that would dwell amongst the southern kingdom. You understand? Whoever out of those coasts, from Manasseh, Asher, Naphtali, Gad, or whatever, that wanted to seek the Lord their God, it wasn't many, but a smaller remnant, they came behind the Levites to join with Rehoboam in Jerusalem, with Judah and Benjamin. Go ahead.
So they strengthened the kingdom of Judah and made Rehoboam the son of Solomon strong 3 years. For 3 years they walked in the way of David and Solomon.
Right, so it said they strengthened the kingdom of Judah. So what is the kingdom of Judah? It is not only just Judah only, but it's Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and a remnant of the other tribes. That was the kingdom of Judah, or the Jews. You understand? You're reading the origin of the Jews, the southern kingdom, kingdom of Judah. All right? So from there, let's go back to 1 Kings chapter 12, read verse 32.
The book of 1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 32. And Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month, on the 15th day of the month, like unto the feast that is in Judah. And he offered upon the altar. So did he in Bethel, sacrificing unto the calves that he had made. And he placed in Bethel the priests of the high places which he had made.
So this nigga Jeroboam, he the damn devil. You understand? He making up his own feast to mock the feast of the Lord. You understand? All of this to keep the people enticed and seduced from going to Jerusalem to sacrifice to the Most High. You're like, what the hell you need to do that for? Look, we got feasts on them days where we serve these golden calves. You understand? Wicked as hell. Go ahead.
So he offered upon the altar, which he had made in Bethel, the 15th day of the 8th month, even in the month which he had devised of his own heart.
Which he what?
Devised of his own heart.
This man made his own. He literally made his own holidays, y'all. You understand? That's what this nigga did. Go ahead.
And ordained a feast unto the children of Israel. Check. And ordained a feast unto the children of Israel. And he offered upon the altar and burnt incense.
All right. So go to Sirach 47 and 23 now. Sirach 47 and 23.
The book of Sirach, chapter 47 and verse 23. Thus rested Solomon with his fathers, and of his seed he left behind him Rehoboam, even the foolishness of the people, and one that had no understanding, who turned away the people through his counsel.
Read that again. Read that verse again.
The whole thing?
Yep.
Sirach, chapter 47 and verse 23. Thus rested Solomon with his fathers.
Right, so Solomon passed. Read.
And of his seed he left behind him Rehoboam.
So he left Rehoboam behind him in his stead. Read.
Even the foolishness of the people.
You see what it called Rehoboam? That's his title. That's his rep. You understand? Rehoboam was known as the foolishness of the people. You had the counsel of the old men that stood with Solomon, the wisest man ever walked the earth. You said, to hell with them. My little pinky finger gonna be thicker than my father's penis, right? And you lose 10 tribes. Following the counsel of the young men. You understand? He was the foolishness of the people. Read.
And one that had no understanding.
That had no understanding. Simple as hell. Go ahead.
Who turned away the people through his counsel.
He turned away the people through his counsel. Just like the older men warned him what happened. Read.
There was also Jeroboam.
There was also who?
Jeroboam.
Jeroboam. Go ahead.
The son of Nebat.
Uh-huh.
Who caused Israel to sin.
He did what?
Caused Israel to sin.
By what? Making them 2 golden calves. Them idols. Go ahead.
And showed Ephraim the way of sin.
He showed Ephraim the way of sin. He showed Ephraim, the northern kingdom, those 10 tribes, the way of sin. And they never recovered. They never repented. You understand? Not one king after Jeroboam, as we going to go through the history throughout this series, not one king after him differed from his ways. He set the tone. Jeroboam set the tone for northern kingdom. All right? Now watch this. In regards to Rehoboam, I want y'all to see what Solomon said, y'all. Ecclesiastes 2 verse 18. Watch this.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 2 and verse 18. Yea, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun.
Because Solomon, he did a lot. In his 40 years, he built all these houses. He built all these relationships. He gained all this fame and notoriety. You know what I'm saying? He published all these songs and proverbs. He laid down a hell of a legacy. You understand? He said, man, I hate all this. I hate all this work I put in. Why? Read.
Because I shall leave it unto the man that shall be after me.
The damn foolishness of the people. You understand? Rehoboam get on the throne and lose 10 damn tribes. What the hell? All the labor I done put in. For real. It's a vexation of spirit. You understand? But all praise to the Most High. Lord's willing, y'all was edified. Y'all got the full understand. Of course, it's many leaders that went over the split, and they bring out different points and bring it out in different ways and stuff like that. But Lord's willing, those of y'all that tuned in today got a very good understanding of how it went down. The root cause was Solomon's sin. Right, Rehoboam forsaking the counsel of the older men. All of that was of the Lord because the prophecy had to come to pass. Jeroboam, he could have did the right thing and had a good little northern kingdom, but he was scared that the people was going to eventually just gravitate back to Jerusalem. So he instituted idolatry to the maximum level. You understand? Which set the tone for northern kingdom to never be righteous. For real, as a whole, as a collective. You understand? And you saw why Benjamin joined with Judah, how Levi ended up resorting to Judah, and that became the southern kingdom, or the kingdom of Judah, or the Jews. All right? That's the split. That's how it went down. And later, in history, eventually you're going to see how the northern kingdom was cut off and they were no longer God's people, meaning they became Gentile. All of this history that we're covering it gives the perfect understanding going into the New Testament, what's really going on, what's really the significance of Cornelius, and you understand why was this so monumental and all of this stuff, because this right here, you got to think this is 931. No, what year is this? Yeah, 931 BC. You understand? 931 BC. 930 years before Christ came on the scene, Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom was not getting along. There was a division. 700 years before Christ, the Northern Kingdom wasn't even recognized as Israel in the sight of God. You understand? So with all of that unfolding, with them going to Samaria and then eventually going abroad and converting all of those cast off Israelites, they cast off 700 years. They weren't getting circumcised. They was fully assimilated with all the captivities before that. You understand? So when Paul was doing all that and converting and building them churches and stuff like that, all of that shows the manner of mercy of God to bring them back into the fold. You understand? But you got to know this history. You got to have a good understanding of the history, the split, and eventually them being cut off. All right, that's why I said this class right here, you got to take good notes. You got to take good notes. This is what Christianity don't understand, and a lot of them is to their own destruction. They fully persuaded in their mind that the Gentiles in the New Testament is everybody, failing to realize that the bulk of Israel, 10 tribes, you understand, were not the Jews. For real. It was not 10 tribes of the Lord's people was not the Jews. You understand? They was waiting on the Messiah, because some of them had understanding, like the women at the well. They had understanding that a Messiah had to come in order for them to be redeemed, receive the adoption back into God's good graces. You understand? That's the mystery of the gospel. All right? So, Lord's willing, like I said, y'all took good notes, got edified. Lord's willing, I'll be back soon to continue with this series. But, you know, every day you're going to see the captains coming on early in the morning, feeding y'all with history in the AM. All right? With that, shalom, most high, Christ bless.
Peace out, peace out. Look, I ain't saying it ain't on to let go, but sometimes the sauce gotta go. They say I'm cold, I'm just preserving my soul. Peace out. You said your piece, I said my piece. Now I got peace of mind, yeah.